Hey there students, Peter Willett here. In this video I would like to help explain about the different kinds of assignments that you have in statistics, Math 142. There's 4 assignments that you have. You have homeworks, quizzes, and then you'll have 3 exams, 2 midterms and a final. And then at the end of the class there's a project due. So 95% of the time you'll only be working on 2 of those, the homeworks and the quizzes. So I'd like to show you how to access those and explain a little bit about the difference between them so that you get an idea of how to get started on your assignments and what you'll need to do. So if I click to take us into the class on Canvas, then the 3rd tab on the upper left from the top is My Lab and Mastering. So I'm going to click on that. And the student links that you'll see here are My Lab Stat, All Assignments, and My Lab and Mastering Course Home. So if I click on the All Assignments, it'll just go right to a list of the assignments. So if you already know you want to work on an assignment, you just click on that, you go right to the list, and you can start an assignment. But let's click on the Course Home, and this will take you over into My Stat Lab. And in My Stat Lab, you can also access the assignments as well as all your other resources. Let me view this as a student. So on the student home page here, let's draw your attention to a couple of the things here. So we have the course home that we're looking at now. We have the e-text over on the left here. So that's how you could access your textbook if you wanted, for example, to read some of the sections and learn about statistics so that you put yourself in a position where you could do your assignments. You can also look this in a chapter breakdown. There's the chapter contents there. And then right there is the link that goes to the assignments. Now also there's a link here for the project, so you can read the details about your project. But again, that won't be due till the end of the class. So let's say that you had gone ahead and looked at, like if I click on chapter contents, you can say, hey, I'm going to go to chapter 1, section 1, so I can get started and learn about the class. There's video presentations, e-text, etc. So this is how you will learn and explore about the material. But I'm going to go with the idea that you've already done that, because what we're going to do now is say that you've studied the first chapter and you're ready to start working on your homework. And again, you don't have to become a master at the material before you start working on your homework. So I'm going to click on Assignments. And here we'll see the list of your assignments. This is also listed out in the syllabus. But to draw your attention to some of the details here, we see homeworks and quizzes coming in pairs of assignments. Homework number 1 and quiz number 1. Homework number 2 and quiz number 2, etc. And these pairs of assignments have the same due date. So for each pair of assignments, the idea is that you'll work on the homework assignment first, and then after you've successfully completed that, you'll take the quiz on that same material, and they're both due by the same due date. So let's say you've studied chapter 1 and you're ready to do your homework on sections 1.1 and 1.3. If I click on the homework assignment, it brings up the problems, and there's typically something like a dozen problems per section, but the problems are infinitely repeatable, and there are help options inside. Let's say I click on maybe number 3 there. And you can go around the assignment in any order you want. Looking at this one problem, for example, while you're working on an assignment, there's a tab if you want to get some help on how to do this. There's a navigation bar here so that you can go to the next problem or the previous one, or even skip around to different problems. There's the statement of the problem on one side of a gray line, and then on the other side of the gray line is the place where they want you to fill out the answer. And then down on the bottom right is a button where you can check your answer as soon as you've put it in so that you can see if you're right or not. And if you're not, you can try again. So the homework assignments are very forgiving, and they're designed to help you learn about the material while you're trying to do the problems. Now, again, it's best if you go and read about these sections first because there's nothing in the problem completely explaining the vocabulary or how to do it. But there is some help if you need it along the way. So let's say you read the chapter and you read this problem. I haven't even read it, but you say, yeah, I think the answer is A. Well, you can immediately check your answer. I guess I'm right. I was trying to get a wrong answer so I could show you what that looks like. So, of course, I'll go to the next question. And let's say I click some stuff here and I fill in some stuff. And let's see, I put in a 5 here. I'm just entering stuff just so we can try it and see what we get. And then I check my answer. And not too surprisingly, I was not able to get all that correct with my random guessing. And there's a description here about how you might have gone about trying to do things to get the problem right, a little bit of a hint. And then you can try again. You can then go back and change your answer on different parts and put in different things, etc. So the basic idea here is that as you're doing a homework, you can navigate around and skip over the problems, do them in any order you want. As you're doing them, you'll get little green check marks, and you'll get points for doing those problems correctly. And the ones that you missed will get red X's, and you can go back and work on those as you work along on the assignment. And this can be done over several days. The whole thing just needs to be completed by the due date. As you're going along, you can sort of see how many points you've got and what your percentage is on that assignment. And your goal is to work on it until you've got a good grade. I would suggest trying to get a 90% or better on all your assignments, and then to move on. And so in this way, you can start your homework even if you're not sure about everything. You can work on it over time. You can do the problems you like. And then you can try to maybe read more or watch some instructional videos to help you understand the problems that you don't know how to get correct. Hopefully at the end of this process, when you've got a score that you're happy with on this assignment, then you'll be in a position to take the quiz on that same material. So the quiz is shorter, but it's also timed, and you don't have infinitely many attempts. You have 2 attempts allowed. So let's say I click on a quiz, and you'll see here now it's warning you, okay, you're going to have 30 minutes when you start this. In this case, there are 6 questions. For each of the quizzes, there are 2 problems for each section covered by the quiz. So that led us to 6 problems on this assignment. And the problems are just like the ones you had in your homework, but there's fewer of them, and you don't get all the help options. You don't get to keep repeating the problem. Let's say I start an attempt on this so that you can see it. So then what you'll see now is that up here is a submit button, but also there's a clock running because you are limited to 30 minutes to do these 6 problems. You have the same navigational bar. You have the same idea of the problem stated here, and then below the bar is where you put in your answer. But notice down here, there's no place to check your answer when you put it in because these problems are not repeatable. You're simply going to submit your answer for all 6 problems and then hit the submit quiz button when you're done. And then you'll get your score immediately. And so the quizzes are a little bit more like a normal quiz because you can't work on them over several days. They're timed, and you just turn in and see how you did. Now, you are allowed 2 attempts. So even if your first attempt doesn't go great, you can look over what happened, figure out how you could have done better, and then you'll have a second attempt to try again. And so we can see here in this case, because I've been using this as an example, I've used 2 of the 2 allowed attempts, but that you will be able to try a quiz twice if you need to try to get a score that you're happy with. So this is the way that you will do the quizzes and homeworks. You start by reading the material or watching some instructional videos. You'll start working on your homework, hopefully well in advance of the due date for both, and work on it until you get the score up to a level that you're satisfied with, skipping problems you don't like, reviewing those, repeating them if you need to. And when you reach the end of a homework and you've figured out how to do all the problems correctly, hopefully then when you try the quiz, you'll get a good score on your first try because it's the same problems you had from your homework. But you do have one more attempt on it if it didn't go well where you can look it over, see what went wrong, and then try again to get a better score. And when you take a quiz more than once, it takes the better of your two scores. Even if you get a worse score on the second try, it takes the better of your two scores. And that's how you move through the class doing your homeworks and quizzes up until we get to a midterm. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. But go ahead and get started as soon as you can on a homework, because there's no reason not to open it up and get going. And the sooner you start, the better chance you'll have of finishing both of them before the due date.